Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for joining in today's webinar hosted by the Sikh Research Institute. My name is Manvinder Kaur. Today's class is a part of the live series Anand Sahib, Way to Bliss. This class will begin with a 40-minute lecture followed by 15 to 20 minutes for Q&A. So please drop your questions in the chat box and be sure to include your name and city. Our instructor for this course is Surinder Pal Singh. He is a researcher in Sikh studies. He works at the Sikh Research Institute, where he develops curriculum, presentations, and research papers on Sikh history and culture. Please welcome Surinder Pal.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the 9th week of the online Anand Sahib course. Today we will cover pauris 31st through 34th. With that, we begin our session. So let's have a recap of what we covered last week. We covered pauri 27 through 30. In pauri 27, we covered Simrit Sastra Pun Paap Bichar De Tattva Sar Na Jani. We learned what Smritis and the Shastras are. We discussed that both Smritis and Shastras fall under the category of the literature we know as Smritis, what is remembered, which means that the knowledge or body of knowledge that has been passed on from one generation to the other. It is not personal experience, but borrowed understanding. This is in contrast to what is understood as or considered Shruti literature, that which is heard or experienced firsthand. This primarily refers to the Vedas. So Smriti literature elaborates and interprets, basically it codifies the Vedic thought, but being a derivative of the Vedas, it is considered to have lesser authority than the Vedas. Smritis include Vedangas, which basically cover all the subjects that are required to have an understanding of Vedas, which include the meters, the phonetics, grammar, etymology of things. Then we have Kalpasutras that discuss the religious manuals. Then you have the ancient myths in the Puranas, and then you have the epics, the Hindu, the Ramayanas and the Mahabharats, the main two historic epics. So these constitute Smritis, and Shastras are basically the precepts, the manuals, the treatises that discuss a specific area of knowledge, and they give you more details on that, like Dharma Shastra, Arth Shastra, Folk Shastra, Kavya Shastra, and so on. In addition to that, in the third line, we had covered, there was a term used for Maya, Trahaguni, which means one with three qualities. There are other two names that are used in Gurbani for Maya. There are Tragun and Trikuti. In general, it's also called Tragunatmik, implying the one which has three qualities. So the general understanding is that the entire world has come into existence because of one of these three qualities of Maya, which we call as, Rajo, Sato, Tamo, or Rajav, Sato, Tamas, different ways. And they are basically relative qualities of nature. The entire world is simply a manifestation of these three qualities, even though one quality is better than the other, but we are not supposed to aspire for these qualities. We are supposed to rise above these relativities of life and connect with the absolute now. That is, we need to go beyond the reach of these three qualities. And when we actually make that happen, we are said to have reached the Chautha Pad, Parampad, or Turiya Pad. These are different names for the ultimate state of realization or the spiritual experience where we can say that we have sort of, you know, uh, gone beyond the reach of Maya. We have reached a state where we have sort of defeated the relativities of life. So then in the body, we learned that, uh, there are different religious literature or texts that talk about what is pap and pun, what is supposed to be, good and what is supposed to be bad. But the problem with these texts is that the Guru tells us that they are essentially rooted in law and codification of human conduct. They are rooted in the formulas. They are not rooted in love and longing. They work the other way around. They are about taming the behavior without really addressing the cause of the problem, which is the lack of connection, which is the lack of love and longing, which cannot be, you know, made to, you know, develop in a person just through formulas. There has to be a stronger motivation, which is lacking in these, texts. So then in the last line, it said the reason behind this is that people who are writing these texts or the other people, everyone is basically Tihi Guni Sansar Pramasutra, Sutyara and Bhyani, that they are essentially uh, under the influence of Maya and they're not looking for divine love. So if I'm not looking for, divine love, I will not get divine love. I'm looking for money, job, wealth, comfort. So for me, Gurbani is just a means to get these things. So then how can I expect to, escape the clutches of Maya and be happy when my actual motive is to indulge in that Maya or its various, forms or manifestations in the world. So the Puri told us that only those individuals who, through the Guru's grace, utter Gurbani day and night, find pleasure in that connection, in connection with the Kalpurukh, then Ik Onkar comes to reside or dwell in their heart. That is how one breaks the bondage of Maya. Because their love is with Onkar, Ik Onkar comes to abide in their heart. That's how they break the bondage of Maya, the relativities. Next in body 28, uh, Mata ke udar mein, essentially it gave us an imagery of the child developing in the womb of the mother. And it basically informs us that, Akal Purukh takes care of the child even in the womb where, no one else can reach. माता के उदर में प्रतिपाल करे सो क्यों मनो विसारिए. Kalpuk has put a system in place through which the child or the embryo is nourished, and that's how it develops there. In that state of being, hung upside down, in that intense heat, the embryo is supposed to be, some way connected to Kalpuk. Using that example, the Guru encourages us to also stay connected with the giver, who is essentially going to take care of us, no matter what the circumstances are, where we are. It doesn't depend. It doesn't. It doesn't really change anything. Next, in Puri 29, uh, Guru compared the state inside the womb, the imagery that was created in Puri 28, and then contrasts that with the state of the world we live in. And it says, "Jaisi agun udar mein hai, taisi bahar maya." The intense heat of the womb is sort of compared with the anxieties of life that come with the craving of the material things. And it told us that the overpowering influence of Maya takes over as soon as the child steps out, takes basically opens eyes after having come into this world. The Maya basically takes over. But those who live in the instructions or live by the instructions of the Guru, they unite with Ekankar even while they are engaged with the world. Basically, even while living in this world, people who live by the Guru's instruction, they are able to evade the effects of Maya. Kaha Nanak Gur Prasadi, the last line informed us, Jina live lagi, those whose connection live is currently is constantly with the Ikonkar, Tini Viche Maya Pai. While living a normal life of a householder, they they engage with the word in a limited and a detached manner, and they do not indulge in it. Thus, they are able to evade the effect of Maya. Lastly, in body 30, it eulogizes the preciousness of Ikonkar. Uh, body 29 talked about the how Ekankar is both the cause and the effect, who has also created a Maya in addition to the creation. So it says, the idea is that what the even the distractions are created by Ekankar. So that creates a feeling of awe, which basically uh, it carries itself into body 30, and it basically highlights that grandness of Ekankar, who's essentially the both the cause and the effect of everything. Basically, the idea that we do not believe in two axes in this world. There is no evil separate from Ekankar. Remembrance is divinity, and forgetfulness is evilness. When a person lives in ignorance, that's when a person is uh, evil, quote unquote. So that's the idea. So that idea is then taken on and then used in Pauri 31, 31 to basically further that idea. The idea of Hari Aap Mulak hai, that the uh, Ik Onkar, the remover of suffering, is priceless, precious. Mol na pai jai, whose worth cannot be known. Now that idea is taken and brought into Pauri 31, and the discussion is moved forward from here. It says, uh, Hari Aap Mulak hai, Mol na paya jai. So from there it goes, Hari Ras Meri Man Manjara. It uses the vocabulary of the business word, which is used quite often in the Guru Granth Sahib. And then it uses vocabulary from there. It says, Hari Ras Meri. Hari is my capital. Man Manjara. That mind, my mind is the merchant that is trading in that capital. To emphasize the idea, then the line is repeated, and after repeating it, a qualifier is added. So it says, Hari Ras, Meri Man Manjara. Hari is my capital, and my mind is the merchant. But Satigur Teras Chan. Uh, but how did I come to know about this capital? It's because the Guru. It's because of the Guru that I was able to, find that capital and then use it and engage in this state. This analogy of capital, investment, profit is often used in Gurbani to explain to us, what is the most precious thing in life that we need to trade in order to, succeed in life, in order to fulfill the ultimate goal of life. I had mentioned Raharas in the evening Bani that we sing in one of the previous sessions. The title is based on this theme of trading and merchant. Rah is way, path, or journey, and Ras is the capital, which means capital or supply we need for a journey, and the journey is towards the figurative abode of Akal Purukh, which is not at some distant place, but within us. It is a journey that we need to take within us. So that analogy is used here, and we are told that it's essentially the Guru uh, uh, who basically explains to me how important this trade is, why I need to do this trade, and how to do this trade. So with that, the next line says, since now the Guru has introduced this idea, the Guru tells us, let me tell you, what, how to actually do this trade. And it says, Hari Hari Nit Japi Ho, perfect Japi Ho, Hari within, with zeal every day, Nit, Laha Khati Ho Dihari, and you shall collect your profits daily. So laha is the profit, and khateho is to khatna. It comes from khatna, to earn. Laha khateho dihadi, earn the profit of the day. So dihadi is what you earn in a day, the daily wage. So back in South Asia, even probably in North America, I don't know, but many other parts, less developed countries in the world, in the unorganized sectors and where people are trying to avoid taxes, they pay people in cash on a daily basis. You are not on a payroll, and you work on a daily basis. There is no guarantee of employment every day, and you just take every day, day by day, and hence there's no employment benefit either. So to me, this line is saying that uh, if you are in business of trading in now, please know that it's an affair that requires daily engagement and investment. It is not a you know capitalist economy where you invest in a scheme and you put your money there, and then money generates money, and you just forget about it, and you eat off it, you know, in an extended period without even putting any effort or adding any sort of value to that business. But in contrast to that, uh, in this case, it is an engagement, where you have to daily connect, and by virtue of that connection, you reap the benefit of bliss of union. As long as we are connected, we are happy and we are alive. As soon as we forget, we are dead and in misery. That is how daily wage work. You eat of of the day's earning, and your next day depends on your next day's conduct. If your conduct is not good, if you do not engage in that trade, you will not make any profit. So it's like a continuous cycle. If you want to continuously engage, experience that place, you have to continuously engage in that trade every day. And every day engagement will bring every day the hari, the profit of that particular. Next line says, "Ehe tanu tina milya." But there's a qualifier, there's a condition. But this wealth is received by only those whom the divine itself is. In Hari, ape pana, will. Hari's will. There is no guarantee of success in this trade unless the divine grace is received. If the grace is there, there is huge profit to make in life. There will be bliss, and suffering will go away. But if the grace is not there, uh, even while we are that happens to us all the time. Even while we are singing, even while we are doing name, our mind is wandering here and there. So grace is absent, love is absent. We are just doing it for the sake of gaining material things. So we are stuck in that cycle of, you know, we are basically stuck in the relativities of life, which is essentially. So the last line says, Kaha Nanak, says Nanak, Hari Ras Meri. Hari is my capital, and Man Hua Vanjara. My mind has become the merchant ever since I've started making profit of, you know, this in this trade. So that has kept me continually engaged in this trade of profit, engaging with the economy. So, what is the message in this in a symbolic language? It is that just as you have to invest in things to get something in return, whether it's a business or a relationship, which you have to give time to nurture, etc. Similarly, to develop a relationship with Akal Purukh, you have to toil, invest time and effort, which basically means starting from, if you do not know Gurmukhi, learning Gurmukhi. If you do not understand the language of Guru Anand Sahib, picking vocabulary, trying to understand the cultural context, social context, political context, all those things, phrases, idioms. And then comes the stage of trying to seek pleasure from it, trying to relate to what is being said there. And that's when we actually reach the state of, singing the praise, japehu, of perfecting the divine within. And when that happens, there is bliss. Next, now having discussed, life in so many different, we are at 32. So we have covered 31 bodies before that, and we have covered so many different things. We have covered life, we have covered life priorities, we have covered self-oriented, self-centered people. We have covered, guru-oriented people. We have covered people's motives. We have covered the Sachi Bani, the Gurbani. Then we have covered the Kachi Bani, half-baked Bani. Then we've discussed what is good and what is not so good, what distracts a person in life, and what brings a person back to one love. The next five bodies from 32 to 37, barring body 34, where rest of the bodies from 32 to 37, they address the body and its different parts. So with this body we start. Uh, so the body is basically ask us to basically think about what are we consuming. All the body parts, basically eyes, ears, tongue, and body. So they're asking, the bodies are basically posing questions to these body parts and asking, what are you consuming? What are you engaging with, in order to help them, develop a sense of discernment, so that they, uh, partake only those things that bring happiness and bliss in life. And with that, the Barney is also moving towards, conclusion, having discussed so many different areas of life that either take us away from bliss or help us, experience that bliss in life. So this entire debate in Anand Sahib is essentially about, this bliss, and realizing that, absolute taste that basically doesn't stay there for a few moments, but that stays forever, that lasts. But the humans are basically engrossed in other tastes and loves. So, in order to experience that bliss, it has to stop wandering and come back home uh, to the to experience the union uh, of being with the beloved. And the key to it is that different organs of the body need to stop tasting trash and develop an appreciation of the real and ultimate taste, that is the taste of divine love. In this series, the first body, body 32, addresses the human tongue. A rasana. Rasana is tongue. Another word for rasana in Guru Granth Sahib is jihva, from jeev. So these are two most common used words. Those people who are trying to develop vocabulary, these are very good words to remember, because they're quite often used. And it's easier. So when you hear these words, and if you're able to relate to those, you can tell what's happening there. So context is very important. So if you know tongue is being invoked, it's something. The line has got something to do with tastes. So that's how you develop a frame of mind, and then from there you move. So these type of words, this vocabulary really helps one to understand what's happening there. So a rasana, tu anras raj rahi. O tongue, you are raj rahi, engrossed in other taste, unras. But your thirst will not be quenched by these junk tastes, unras. Pyas na jai. Remember, your thirst will not go. In the past weeks, we talked about key terms. Again, some more vocabulary. We covered an, hor, duja multiple times and contrasted that with one. Here we have an, the fourth word used for other tastes as compared to the taste of now. So anras, an, hor, duja, all implying the other. So what are the things that this tongue tastes? One is actual physical things, tasty food, which in most of the cases is junk food, unless we develop a taste for healthy stuff. And the other taste of the tongue is slander, gossiping. One makes, the food makes us unhealthy, and the other basically degrades our inner self because of the negativity which generates uh, within us. Then it says, "Pyas na jai, worth ki your thirst shall not be quenched. Worth ki anywhere else, no matter what you try, unless as long as Harias Palana Pai, you do not keep the divine essence by your side. Unless you do not develop a taste for Nam and then engage with Nam. There have been, so many hedonistic movements and ideologies that advocate, indulgence as a means to quench the bodily thirst for pleasures. The idea is that, let the body have its fulfillment. And once it has that fulfillment, you will be in a state where you do not no longer want that pleasure or you know that taste. But the fact remains that mind can never be quenched by never-ending indulgence or pleasure, no matter how old our body or our sensory organs may get. No matter how much, no matter how old or how old they grow, they will ask for more. They will always seek more pleasure over and above what they're already getting. It is a vicious cycle, that takes one down the pit, which has basically no bottom. But in contrast to that, if one is able to, the Guru is saying there is, indulgence and tastes is not an option. What we need to do is develop a taste. Jichar har ras palana paye. As long as we have not developed a taste to, you know, to engage our body and mind, and our cravings will not go. Our cravings for trash will not go away. You have to replace those cravings with the taste of love. A vacuum cannot work. Abstentions are not going to work. As long as you do not develop that taste, you will continue to be stuck in that game of whether I should have it, whether I should not have it. I know this is not good for me, but I cannot. Uh, I cannot stay away from it from too far too long. Those kind of games. And it says, Harira haras paye palle, when if you obtain and keep the divine essence by your side. The previous line said, Jichar haras palle na paye, as long as you do not put the divine taste by your side or on your tongue, your thirst will not be quenched. The next line saying, Haras paye palle, if you obtain and keep, if one obtains and keeps the divine essence by one side, piye and piye haras, brings, consumes, absorbs the divine essence. Ras. Ras literally means juice, but the idea most of the times in Gurbani, ras is used as essence, the idea of essence. Bahurna, never again. Trishna, lagya, will the anxiety of desire come to inflict. Term Pallab, we covered in an earlier session as well. These are very, important words that help you understand the context and the feeling, they bring. Literally means the hem or the edge of a cloth. In the older times when purses and bags weren't really so common, people used to tie money or small supplies in a knot around the hem or the edge of the cloth. In Gurbani, Palla is used symbolically to mean keeping something, especially an idea, close to your, mind or in your heart. That's the idea. So, Jichar Haras Paye Palla, when you keep the divine taste by yourself or within your heart, that's the idea of Palla here. That when you keep that in your mind, always remember, Japo, and keep Naam in your heart. That's when Bahurna Trishna Lage. That's when this vicious cycle is broken. Bahurna. Never again then Trishna comes to, trouble you. Anxiety doesn't trouble you anymore. after that, once that love has taken root in your heart. Next, ਇਹ ਹਰ ਰਸ ਕਰਮੀ ਪਾਈਏ, but this divine essence is obtained through only through grace. Of whose grace? Sadguru Mila Jisai, whom the true Guru, the eternal Guru has come or has been met. Hai Nanak, Nanak says, or anras sab visre, all other tastes, or anras are forgotten, visre, when Ja Hari Vasamani Aye, when the divine comes to dwell within the heart. So the last line clears it that, you know, this artificial life or formula based lifestyle that asks for abstention does not work. It might work for a few hours, it might work for a few days, probably a few weeks, if your resolve is very strong. But that's a life of acting, as we started this in the first body with the idea of Sahaj, equipoise. So if we are acting, we will not be able to sustain that lifestyle. So instead of creating a vacuum by abstaining from things within, the Guru says, sow the love of Ikonkar. When that love of Ikonkar grows and becomes strong enough, it will force all other tastes. Uh, or unless sub visare, they are forgotten, or they are basically thrown out when Jahari Vasaman Aye. When Ik Onkar's love takes root in your heart, that's when all other things are basically forgotten. So the message is pretty, simple, but the problem is the implementation. Uh, since the pull of Maya, different tastes, distractions in life, they're very strong, and it's not easy to, break that cycle. Even though intellectually we understand that this is not good for us, this is good for us. So that advice is that begin by putting, divine praise on your tongue for a day, for a few moments. Try it, then slowly increase that time or quantity of it. That's how you will be sowing the seeds of divine love, which will if ultimately grows because of the grace, it will just throw away all the tastes, and that will take care of most of the troubles and anxieties in your life. All the blabbering. So it's in a the question of what do you want to keep your body parts engaged in? In this case, tongue. So either you keep on tasting good things, or you keep on gossiping or slandering, or you replace those things, or you either abstain, which is not going to go for too far, or you're going to start replacing those things with something more useful, so that time you develop a taste for it. And once you continue to do it again and again, once you make it your habit, you sort of at some point in time also develop a taste for it, and that's when other tastes will dissipate, fade away. All right, so body 33 turns attention to human body after the tongue. It addresses the whole body as one and says, "ए शरीरा मेरेया, O my body, har tum mein hai jyot rakhi." The divine has placed the flame, jyot, in you. Ta tu jag mein aaya. That is when you came into this word. Hari jyot rakhi tud vich, ta tu jag mein aaya. The divine placed life in you. Only then, uh, ta, only then, tu jag mein aaya. You came into this world. Hari ape mata, Hari ape pita. And for this very reason, the divine by itself is your actual mother and father and caretaker. Jini, who, you, life and being, upaye kya? Having upaye, jiniju upaye, having given birth to Jagat Dikhaya, revealed the word to you. Gur Prasadi Bhujya, by the Guru's grace, when this is understood, ta chalat hua, then this word play is hoa, manifest, which is manifest or happening, chalat nadriyaya, is seen or recognized in the divine grace for what it is, that it is essentially, transient in nature. When it comes to the realization that, it is merely a play put forth by Ekankar. This actually relates to the body of Maya, uh, where it said that once the child came into this word, live chudki, that the connection which was existing in the womb, that connection broke. Liv chudki lagi Krishna, and the craving or anxiety, took over as soon as the child took birth. It opened eyes and looked around and saw the world, and that connection was broken. And then the next line had explained that this Maya, which was responsible for this behavior, is also creation of Ekankar. So this line is actually to me an allusion to that. You know what? That everything is created by Ekankar, so don't be fooled. But people who are able to realize this, now where is this realization coming from? From the Sabbath. The Sabbath is giving us this realization that people who are able to, sort of engage with the Guru wisdom, Guru Prasadi Pujya, then those people who engage with the Guru wisdom are able to realize the temporariness of this world, the transient nature of this world, and then slowly, move away from it towards the permanent thing. Nanak says Nanak, Srishta ka mool rachya. The creation was founded. Rachya. Mool is basically the origin, the beginning of something, when the creation was founded. And Jot Rakhi, then Jot, the flame of life or light or the being was placed, Rakhi, placed within the body. Then Tantu Jagni. That is when you essentially, came came into existence. So this body is basically highlighting a few points, few facts for us to recognize and then appreciate. One is that life is the gift of Kartapur, Kalpur, the creator, the giver. We need to be thankful. Just kept repeating. You came into existence because Kalpur took care of you. Kalpur put life in you. That's how you came into being. The second point is that the world has been created by the divine, and since it's divine is manifest in it, it is fundamentally the operating force behind everything. And third, a person who recognizes this play, that it's essentially a Kaonkar who's doing everything, becomes humble, and the ego of that person dies. He no longer considers to be the center of the universe, like most of us actually think implicitly, even if we don't say that. Then such a person stops thinking, that I'm the center of everything or that I'm capable of doing everything. This idea of I-ness, that I am, I exist, and hence I can. This goes away, and the person becomes humble. This kills the ego, and then that prepares the heart and the mind of that person for Ikamkar's entry. Because Ikankar only comes into life once we give up our ego. So these are three major learnings in this book. With that, we move on to the last body. As I mentioned, last body from 32nd to 37th body, every body addresses one body part, but 34th is an exception. Uh, so what's happening here is that body 34 sort of suddenly bursts into a kind of an excited celebration, as if it is saying that you slowly, when you realize that all things you learn through the wisdom, you slowly move towards this ultimate goal of eternal bliss. This body actually gives a glimpse of what that bliss is like once you have slowly started recognizing and realizing things for what they are, what your place is within them. So It basically gives you an idea of how that what kind of feeling that evokes in you. It says "man chao paya." There are certain words that evoke certain strong feelings, but the problem is they are so culturally rooted that you cannot really explain or their meanings or their feeling behind it. As chow is just one of those words. It simply means, my mind is, joyous. That is all I can say. But people who know Punjabi, probably they can relate to how loaded this word is and the amount of excitement, anticipation it brings, and what are the other connotations, related to this word. So it says "man chao pya." My mind is in ecstasy, or it's in joyous celebration or excitement. Prab agam sunaya. When I heard the arrival of my master. Now, this is not a physical arrival. Uh, this language is figurative in nature again. It's like saying, because of the changes I made in my life, because one love has taken roots in my heart, like in the previous parties we discussed, I have started feeling, the nearness of my beloved. I've started seeing beloved everywhere. I've started experiencing beloved. The signs of happiness have started appearing, and I have an inkling, I have a hunch of an approaching union. And because of that feeling of an inevitable union, my mind is excited. It's joyous. I have anticipation now within me. Hari Mangal Gao, Sakhi Grihu Mandir. This language again is symbolic. It borrows from the marriage ceremony of the South Asia. Those who have seen Punjabi marriages, they will know, in a day or two before the marriage, all the girlfriends of the bride and all the women folks within the house, they come together and they sing songs of praise, happiness, or songs of conjugal joy. They're songs that, of union, basically. They explain the joy of union. They have certain light humor in them as well. So this line is basically alluding to that in the context of the, previous line, that Sakhi, oh girlfriends, Hari Mangal Gao, sing praises, sing songs of praise, Mangal of Hari, Grih Mandir Baniya, as in the anticipation of my approaching divine husband, this house, body house, has turned into a temple. All this is symbolism for the body, that it is ecstatic and is experiencing the presence of it's experiencing the presence of Ekankar in life now. Hari Gau Mangal Nit Sakhiye Sog Dukh Na Vyapai. Sakhiye, oh friends, oh girlfriends, Hari Gaul Mangal Nit. Sing songs of divine praises daily. We discussed the idea of Dihadi, daily prophet. Again, daily word appears here. Nit. So dukh na vyape. What happens is when we sing those, songs of praise, so dukh na vyape. uh, when we when we get into that exciting relationship and engage in it with love and passion, joy takes over, and suffering is forgotten in that state of mind of happiness and excitement. It changes your focus. It's not that your state your surrounding changes, your perspective changes. It's like a paradigm shift where when your priorities shift, your focus shifts, and with it changes the criteria of, what hurts you and what makes you happy. For instance, if nothing is happening in your life, even a small negative thing really hurts you. But if you hit a jackpot and you lose $1,000, you don't really care because you're so excited and you're so happy about it. In relative terms, that's nothing. That's not even your focus. So that's something what I believe is happening here. When you are in such a stage or state in life that you are experiencing the maximum amount of happiness, the ultimate bliss that you can experience in that state, you know, if somebody pricks you physically, you wouldn't even realize this. So something like that, you know, your perspective, everything has changed or shifted. So nothing really troubles you anymore. So Gurcharan lage, din supage, apna pir jape. It must have been very fortunate. So, it's basically conjecturing that, this feeling of bliss or happiness has come about. But what has really happened? Guru Charan lage, that when I fell at the feet of the Guru, that day must have been very fortunate day, because that's the reason why I am experiencing that bliss. Who showed me that day must be fortunate when I fell at the feet of the Guru, who basically apna pir jape, showed me my beloved. And now that I'm going to meet my beloved, anhat bani. Next line. The unstruck sound we discussed in the earlier parties again, which is considered to be the peak of the spiritual experience in the yogic tradition. Guru says, Gur Shabd Jani. For me, the Guru's Sabad opened up that peak spiritual experience, implying that I found, all joy and bliss in the Guru's Sabad, which has brought me to which has brought me close to my, beloved, and that union with my beloved. Thus, in this heightened uh, state of spiritual ecstasy, Harinam Harispogu, revel in Nam, the taste of divine essence. The last phrase is sort of a logical advice that because you have met the Guru, because you're experiencing that heightened spiritual ecstasy, because of engaging with Guru, now Harinam Harispogu, now go and revel in Nam and the taste of the divine. Hai Nanak, last line says Nanak, Prabhu Aap Milya, the beloved master, united me with the self. Aap, by self, made me unite. Who is the Karan Yoga? Now, this idea has cropped up multiple times. Effect and cause of everything. Who is capable and cause of all causes. That Akal proof, that Prabhu, that master, beloved master, has united me with the self, for I am not capable of anything. Uh, so, what do we learn here? The lesson in this body is that, if I want to turn pain and suffering, it's quite simple and straightforward. The action item is very simple. Uh, I need to sing divine praises. If I want to experience bliss and joy, I need to engage with the Guru wisdom, Gur Sabad, the true eternal returns, the Sachi Bani, that shows me, the ultimate way to praise and connect with the divine, which will help me, ultimately experience that spiritual bliss. With that, we end today's session, and we'll move on to question answers. If there are any.
Yes, we have a couple of questions. One of them is about the last body, so I will just address that one first. So Sarab asks, is this body saying, so this is an example, don't eat ice cream in hot weather as sweets are ultimately bad for you, or you should keep things in moderation while remembering Vaheguru?
Uh, Sweet, you would know whether you eat them in hot weather or cold weather, doesn't matter. Sweet isn't good for you. That's the point. Real point that Guru is making is that if you are doing it, if you're forcing yourself, if you're trying to abstain from it, we have probably not reached that state. What the Guru is basically saying that, basically, if I have to give an example, it's like saying, when I feel like, so that we are, it's summertime and there is an option, we have an ice cream in front of us and we have spinach or a salad, put in front of us. If I want to have ice cream, knowing that spinach is good for me or salad is good for me, and I'm trying to, convince my mind to eat salad because in my mind I know salad is good, ice cream is not good, and I might end up eating salad but not taking ice cream. But that's not an ideal situation because still my mind, my heart is stuck. in the ice cream because I love ice cream more. I don't love salad. I'm just eating it because I know it's good for me. It's the same as when we do pot, just because not because we love a conquer, but because we know we'll get material things. It's the same thing. The ideal situation is when our mind tells us, when we just start disliking ice cream, not because we know it's bad for us, but just because we have developed a very good taste of the salad. It's essentially good for us. So when we are not forcing ourselves to abstain, but we are doing something inherently good because we have started loving that good thing. That's the difference. So eating ice cream, not eating ice cream because we have stopped liking ice cream, instead of not eating ice cream because we in our mind know salad is good, but we haven't really developed a taste for it. That's the difference.
Amazing, thank you. That was a delightful way of answering that question. So I have sent you a question that includes some Punjabi words, so I didn't want to mispronounce those. So if you could read that one aloud, that would be great.
Sorry, I didn't get your questions. Is it the question that you have put in the presenters tab?
Yes.
What are the practical steps we can take to go above Triagon Maya to Chautha Pad and our daily lives? Well, Virji, there can't be any formula as Gurbani tells us. It's simply about developing a relationship with Gurbani, reading Gurbani more. As long as we are reading Gurbani as just a mantra, as I just alluded, to just get certain good things because we have developed this understanding that Gurbani reading is good for us. So we need Gurbani as incantation or a chant or a mantra just to get goodies in life. But we aren't really in love with Gurbani or Kalpur. So as we engage with it, so the point is to start learning, starting to understand what the Gurbani says, and starting to act on it instead of just reading it as a mantra. We need to start learning what Gurbani is saying and then slowly implementing it in our life. Basically, increasing our engagement with Gurbani. And once we do that, this will be like natural. This will be like a natural process. If we engage with Gurbani, we walk on it, will slowly, steadily, all by itself start to relate to what the Gurbani is telling us. And if we start walking on it, uh, the most simple thing is, you know, it's this. It's the same thing. We understand very well what is good for us and what is not good for us. It's just our craving. That pull is very strong of all sorts of ways. How do we get away from it? And this is a question that comes to us in a different way. Now it has come to us in a technical way, but it's the same question that was asked like 3-4 weeks ago. How do we really develop love? Basically, no. The question was, I can't really concentrate on Gurbani, and the answer I gave there was that's because we don't get pleasure out of it. We don't love it. Anything that we do not get pleasure out of, we will not love. Anything we do not love, we will not relate to. So the point is, are we able to relate to Gurbani? And we will be able to relate to Gurbani only when we start engaging it, engaging with in a way where we are trying to understand what the Guru is saying, and not just reading it as a mantra. So the next step is increasing our engagement and implementing it in our life, basically doing what the Guru is asking us to do. And once, if we understand most of the action items in Gurbani are very simple. We can't really hide behind the excuse that I didn't understand what the Gurbani is saying, and which is increase our engagement with Gurbani and do what Gurbani is telling us. Once we start doing that, we will slowly move away from the effect of or the overpowering effect of dragon and then move towards the Jyotirpad. It's essentially about finding our true love, developing our love with.
So the next one question is, what is the deeper meaning of if the divine or in the divine graces? Something that you are awarded. Is there a way to be in Vaheguru's good grace? And this is from Inder from Long Beach, California.
Thanks for asking this question. The thing is, this is the most tricky question actually, because people try to interpret Gurbani in a way that is politically correct, which through rational ideas that this idea of free will always comes in. That if we know that this is good for us, why don't we just do it? What is the break between the free will and divine grace? And I don't have a clear answer for this, but my understanding is that as humans, whatever free will we have, if we have understood uh, that this is good for us, and that's in itself is a sign of divine grace, because there are people who do not even have the opportunity to understand, who are so uh, engrossed in their addictions in life, and we are all on a relative plane. No one is too good or too bad. Is Everyone has their own struggles. So there are people who are not even able to realize what's going on in their life. But if we have finally realized that this is not good for us, this is good for us, or this is what we need to do in life, I think there is already grace. From a Gurbani perspective, that is not something we can force upon ourselves, but that's something which comes to us as a gift. And we do not know if or when we will get that gift. That's what Gurbani tells us. But if we have reached that stage where we have started thinking about these things, I think there is some element of grace there. We should hold on to that grace, be thankful, and then start developing our relationship with Guru. Probably that's the way to move forward.
So the last question we'll answer today is, these bodies are about the senses. Do we have others about finding a life partner? This is from Jaran Singh in Sacramento.
Thank you for asking the question, Virji. The thing is, Gurbani is not a law book for us. So it doesn't tell us exactly what to do and how to do everything. It does give us a socio-political, socio-cultural, socio-ethical framework to work within. So many of the answers related to these questions, like life partner, these are more our interpretations of Gurbani. It doesn't directly tell you what kind of a life partner you should find, but you can derive interpretations from Gurbani that should tell you uh, what kind of a life partner you should live. Some of those points are, logic based, rational. You'll be happier with a life partner whose values match with you, obviously. So if your priority is Sikhi, you might want to find a partner who is grounded in Sikhi. So yeah, definitely there's no direct answer to these questions, but you derive those answers through interpretations.
Lovely. Amazing. Thank you for another illuminating session, Swendra Singh. And thank you, everyone, for your questions, and apologies for those questions that weren't addressed due to time constraints. Please note, as always, that a recording of this live class will be available within 24 hours. Please tune in next week for the 10th week of this live course. And please tune in for our next live webinar on July 5th on Sunday, The Art of Gathering, Reimagining Sangat, a conversation for Sikhs in the diaspora. How do we find, connect, and build our Sangat? Join us as we discuss ways to create compassionate communities in the age of isolation. And lastly, don't forget to tune into the Sikhcast, a podcast produced by Sikri, where we explore the various issues and events affecting Sikhs worldwide. Thank you for joining in. Today's live class will be ending now. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.